From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is Morning Pulse.
Good morning. This is Craig Allison with your Morning Pulse for Wednesday, January 14th. Before we get into our headlines this morning, question of the day was, the average American says, you can't have just one of these, you need three. What is it? Answer was pillows. One of our viewers actually got that right this morning, and we read off viewer guesses on 1011 this morning. All you got to do is head over to the 1011 Facebook page, put in your guess under the question of the day, and we'll read off some of the guesses before we read off the answer at the end of the show. Now, that being said, we'll head off into our headlines from this morning. Starting things off, a federal investigation in a Northeast Lincoln neighborhood yesterday, sparking outrage from bystanders and nearby residents, some of whom suspect it may have been an ICE raid. Now, here's what we know so far. We have not confirmed ICE involvement, but we do know Homeland Security led the operation, serving a warrant at a home near 32nd and Orchard Streets. Our reporters on scene saw federal agents in tactical gear, identified as Homeland Security, the FBI, and U.S. Marshals. Lincoln Police and Nebraska State Patrol were also on scene, saying their role was limited to peacekeeping. We spoke with several neighbors and witnesses, including Joaquin Trejo, who claims to know the family living in the home, who believe multiple people were arrested. However, our reporter only witnessed one person taken into custody. We'll hear from Joaquin, and then you'll hear some of the sounds from the scene last night.
Told all of us stay back, kick the door in. They didn't show no papers, no warrant, no nothing. Oh, this the neighborhood. We gotta support the neighborhood. Everybody here, you know, we got little kids running around, you got family members around here, you know, like, hey, everybody got to be safe around here. Look out for each other.
And there you have it. That video shows the moment one person was taken into custody. Several dozen people gathered nearby protesting the operation as it unfolded. Now, we've reached out to the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, and the FBI's Omaha field office for more information, but have not yet received a response. We'll continue to follow the story and bring you the latest updates as we learn them, so be sure to stick to the 1011 Now app, 1011now.com, and on Roku for those updates as we get them. Now to your second story, and happening today. Governor Pillen will announce who's filling the seat of former Senator Dan McEwen following his resignation yesterday. McEwen's resignation comes after months of scrutiny over alleged comments and being accused of inappropriately touching a Capitol staffer. Happened just before the legislature was to take a vote on his expulsion. Some of McEwen's now former colleagues previously calling it a distraction, especially in a short session with a massive budget deficit to overcome. Governor Pillen will announce his replacement today at 1 p.m., and we'll be sure to bring you that announcement live as it happens on our 1011 Now app and on Roku. Third story, staying with the legislature. A bill introduced Monday is drawing some attention as it aims to void the federal deal that converted the McCook State Prison into an ICE detention facility. From the Nebraska Examiner, the bill seeks to nullify any state-federal immigration agreements without legislative approval. It would also require the Nebraska Department of Correctional Services to only house offenders under state laws. Governor Pillen argues he's doing his duty to help the federal government enforce immigration laws, estimating ICE's reimbursements will net the state more than $14 million annually. For more on this, head over to our website. Your fourth story, the doors at Lexington's Tyson beef processing plant aren't set to officially close until next week, but for many employees, the shutdown has already started. From News Channel Nebraska, they say hours are being cut, some jobs are being terminated early, and the effect is starting to be felt across the community. The plant is still operating at limited capacity. Multiple workers say the company began cutting hours last Friday, with another larger wave of reductions rolling out this week. Many employees said they saw their schedules cut in half, while others were removed from the schedule entirely. Again, the plant is scheduled to close on January 20th. Moving things over to some sports news, Nebraska men's basketball advances to 17-0 this season after a 90-55 victory over Oregon last night. Quite a statement there. The number 8 Huskers dominated the Ducks with a season-high 17 three-pointers. Price Sanford and Braden Frager both on fire last night from deep, each 7 of 11 from distance in total, combining together for 51 points. During the second half, the Huskers cruised before closing out the 35-point win. It's the Huskers' biggest margin of victory in the Big Ten since joining the conference in 2011. Here's what Coach Hoiberg had to say after the win.
I told the guys in the locker room, it's the power of finishing a half the right way and getting the momentum. I give Oregon a lot of credit for the way they came out, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, 28-28 with about 3 minutes to go, and then we end up with a double-digit lead going into halftime. And then I was really proud of how the guys responded coming out and throwing the first punch.
So there you have it. Congratulations again, guys, and the Huskers will now hit the road to take on the Northwestern Wildcats on Saturday. And wrapping things up with your final story this morning, the city is 14 first responders stronger. Lincoln Fire and Rescue welcoming its most recent class of recruits at a ceremony yesterday afternoon. Ceremony was the end of a training process beginning all the way back in September. 10 new recruits completed the training to become a firefighter, while 4 graduated as the department's first ever class of single-role paramedics, meaning they focus strictly on providing emergency medical care, making sure more help is available to the community when it's needed most.
We tried to coordinate and correspond the times that they work with some of our busiest and peak hours for the city of Lincoln for medical calls. Effectively, what it does is it kind of force multiplies and adds some additional resources on the streets that we desperately need so we can better serve the citizens.
Mayor Leary and Gaylor Baird also spoke to recruits ahead of receiving their badges, using her opening remarks to thank them for their willingness to step up and serve their community. And it's quick turnaround for adding even more fresh faces. LFR says their next class is set to begin training at the end of February. That's going to be your morning pulse for this Wednesday morning, and we'll wrap things up with a look at your 7-day forecast before handing things over to Brendan Rector with more.
Good Wednesday morning. Meteorologist Brandon Rector with you in the 1011 Severe Weather Center. We are starting off the day partly to mostly cloudy with a 20% chance of some rain and snow showers. That chance should come to an end by around mid-morning. And as we go through late morning and afternoon, mostly sunny in eastern Nebraska, but the central and western parts of the state likely to remain partly to mostly cloudy. Breezy through the day with north winds 15 to 25, gusting up to 35 miles per hour. Those winds should decrease to around 5 to 10 miles per hour this evening. Temperatures at noon ranging from the mid-20s to mid-40s. At 4, it's upper 20s to low 50s across the state. And at 8 this evening, temperatures could be anywhere from the upper teens in Wayne to the low 40s in Scotts Bluff. In Lincoln for today, our temperature will actually drop this morning and hang out in the upper 20s to low 30s for the majority of the day.
From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is Morning Pulse.